Welcome into another episode of Dad's in Timeout. This is your host, Jesse Williams, and I've been gone for a little bit, been busy with work and the Army and a bunch of other things, and so we're going to dive into a bunch of topics. But I'm going to lead off with my favorite college football team, the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I feel like some of you guys have been misinterpreting what I have been saying on Facebook. And if you haven't, this is just for everybody else to see where my mind's at, right? Number one, super happy that the Razorbacks are 4-0. They've beaten Rice, they've beaten Texas, they've beaten Georgia Southern, and they've beaten Texas A&M. Texas A&M and Texas were both ranked when Arkansas beat them. And those are very good wins. Here's the thing. There is one thing that will get me to be irritated with college football fans, and that's when people go from 0 to 100. And what I mean by that is, it is great to be excited about the Hogs. I'm excited myself. Sam Pittman has that defense looking legit. Some of these Arkansas fans were talking about replacing KJ Jefferson after like the first half of the first game. The same people were like, maybe Malik Hornsby should be in. I saw the YouTube comments on the YouTube Live, right? Those are the people I'm talking to. The people like, oh man, we're going to go crush Bama, we're going to go crush Georgia. Now, I don't think that it's out of the question that we could maybe hang with those teams, maybe even beat them. But people get upset when I bring up the fact that Arkansas was so bad. But it's context. What I'm trying to say is, Arkansas was bad for so long, and then all of a sudden we're talking national championship. I hope it happens. It would be great. But one step at a time. Do I think they have a really good team? Yes. Do I think that defense is one of the best in the country? Yes. So is Georgia's. And you can bring up all the we beat A&M. A&M was playing with a backup quarterback. Now, don't get me wrong, they have a really good running back and they have really good receivers, and we held them in check. But people were still talking about that third quarter where Arkansas couldn't score. And so I think Arkansas scored a field goal in the second half. I think that's the case. They won 20-10. I think they were up 17-7, and A&M scored, or whatever. Maybe they were up 17. They were up 17-3 at half. A&M scores a touchdown at 17-10, and the whole Arkansas fan base was freaking out. So I'm not hating on passion and excitement. We need that. That's great. But when we lose, what are you going to say? The Hogs were overrated? No. Georgia's a really, really good team. And I'm not saying win as if I think we're going to lose. I want Arkansas to do really, really well. But it's when you start attacking other fan bases, and like we lost to A&M 9 times in a row, and now we're saying that we own them. And don't get me wrong, A&M fans are really easy to talk noise to because they're loud and obnoxious, and I don't know if they've ever won a national championship, but they haven't anytime recently. Johnny Manziel made them really relevant in the SEC. But they fired their coach, Kevin Sumlin, because he couldn't consistently win more than 8 games. They beat Alabama. They've owned us on a neutral site, which used to be a recruiting advantage when they were in the Big 12 and we were in the SEC. We could be like, hey, look, like you can come to the SEC. A&M joins the SEC. Now they can be like, we're A&M, we're closer to home, and you can play in the SEC. So not knocking Arkansas fans for their passion, not knocking any of that. Don't think I'm trying to rain on the parade and say, don't be excited. Because no, I want people to be excited. But there's a toxic part of the fan base that goes real high and real low, and there's no middle. Like, Sam Pittman is building something great. Hunter Yurachek, the athletic director, is building something great in the whole athletic program. All the teams have been really good, and now football is following it up. But let's not... What happens if Arkansas goes 7-5? What happens if Arkansas goes 8-4? Like, are those same fans that were yelling national championship, is it going to be a disappointment? We were 3-7 last year. Wins against Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State. We got smoked by Alabama. Now, I think it was a step in the right direction because we hadn't won an SEC game in forever. Chad Morris was a disaster. The end of the Bielema thing was a disaster. Remember when we were number 3 in the country under Petrino? We were riding high, and then a blonde and a motorcycle and a car payment later, the program is in dumps. I love this Arkansas team. So let's just pump the brakes. Actually, I'm not going to tell you to pump the brakes. You do whatever it is you feel. Because you have the right to do that, and I have a right to not rock with it. And not even saying I don't rock with it. I have a right to be a fan in a different way. I don't have to be a certain fan to be a true fan. I'm just a wait and see kind of guy. If they win the national championship, kudos, you were right. But I knew we were going to win. No, you didn't. Nobody knew. Because if you knew, you're the guy from Back to the Future who jumped in the future and was betting all the games you already knew the results to. So go Hogs, woo pig suey. Let's beat Georgia. I don't like to say we because I've never even been to Fayetteville. Doesn't make you a real fan. Whatever. I'm not. My fandom of any team is not based on your criteria. And for all my fans that are responding on Facebook, yeah, y'all kept it a buck. Y'all kept it. Sliger, Alcorn, Lane, all you guys. Y'all kept it real. And we had a great conversation out of it. Sliger, I don't know if I mentioned Sergeant Sliger. All you guys. And even my boy John Wilder, who went to Texas A&M. He was gracious in defeat. Let's just have fun with this as sports. It's not the end of the life. Like, we don't have to yell at each other. I'm not saying that to any of you guys. But if I said what I said on Twitter, people would be like, well, you're banned from the fan base. Like they're the gatekeepers or something. Not you guys. You guys on Facebook are awesome. Russell Pedron, I don't know if you commented, but I shout out all my Razorbacks fans. Hunter Hatcher made some really good points, right? So I'm not downplaying the wins. I'm just putting them in context. Texas has been back forever, and I'm glad that we smoked them. I'm happy that we smoked Texas. I'm happy that we beat A&M, finally. And the program looks great. It's in a great position. But let's not get down on ourselves if we lose a couple games, because it might happen. It's the SEC. It's tough. But we're not a joke anymore, and that's great. And I don't think we'll be a joke under this coach. I remember we were playing Georgia Southern, and he was not happy in the halftime press conference. We came out and shut him down for the rest of the game. Like, his players respond. The look in their eyes on the field when they're looking to the sideline is just intensity and focus. And that's what we need. And at the end of the day, they're college kids. So let's make sure we don't treat them with disrespect if they make a bad play or something. These guys are still growing up. And as of now, they're upholding the Arkansas Razorback standard, whatever that is. But they're proving to be great young men. So anyways, we'll get off that. Clemson is in trouble, I guess, without NFL quarterbacks. College football is going to be interesting this year because 4 of the top 10 teams in the country are in the SEC. 2 out of the East, 2 out of the West. Alabama, Georgia, Arkansas, and Florida. Florida with a loss by 2 points to Alabama. Ohio State seems to be having trouble. Oklahoma is escaping with wins. So I'm not making any proclamations here, but the ACC won't have a team in the college football playoff. UCLA started hot. They've lost. USC's already lost and fired their coach after one loss. Y'all, I already covered the USC thing, right? So that's my college football spiel. It's exciting. Michigan and Wisconsin play. Notre Dame is ranked high, even though we know it happens when they go to the playoffs. So I think this year we'll see some new teams in there. Michigan State's undefeated. Maryland's undefeated. The Big Ten looks tough. The Big Ten does look good this year. And the Big 12 is just, it's Oklahoma or bust, I think, at this point. Now, if Texas goes and we're their only loss, they smoked Texas Tech. I have no good idea how good Texas Tech is. I'm not going to pretend to know that. So that's college football for you. Let's jump into the NFL. All right, we'll start with my Steelers since everybody wants to hear about how I feel. And they're already like, oh, Big Ben should retire, this, that, and the other. Look, Ben has not played well, but that offensive line's not playing well either. Najee Harris needs room to run. And at this point, the defense slipped against the Bengals. And they have looked not good against the Raiders and that team we just lost to, the Bengals. They looked really good against Buffalo. But I don't know what to do with the AFC North. because Cleveland has a lot of talent, and they're 2-1. Baltimore's 2-1, finding ways to win with Lamar Jackson. Their defense played a lot better last week against whoever they played, because I had some notes, so my computer isn't charging, so I can't. So this podcast will only be on YouTube from here on out until I fix my laptop, which really sucks because that had my recording software on it, and I'll have to figure out how to recover it off the hard drive. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, Pittsburgh seems to be a mess, but Tomlin, I was telling my buddies at my job, shout out Chris Perez and Tyron and all Tyron Keels, and I should be putting y'all's last names out there like that, my bad, but Tyler and all the guys, David, Danny, all the guys, Benjamin, Ben, Q, all the guys in the Fantasy Football League, Miles, shout you out. Shout out Michael Keown, my biggest supporter at work. All you guys, always showing love. Here's the problem. And Cincinnati's, like 2-1 now? So Pittsburgh's the only 1-2 team. Burrow looks really good. Jamar Chase looks really good. The Bengals played better, but the Steelers' offense is disastrous. This new coordinator was supposed to come in with all these great plays and all this other stuff, and it doesn't seem to be materializing. So I don't know what to make of it. The schedule only gets tougher, and it looks like this is the end of the Big Ben era. But let's remember, 2 Super Bowls, 3 appearances, a Hall of Fame career. But sometimes you just lose it. He is the king of the tipped ball interception. I've never seen somebody get so many tipped balls intercepted. It's crazy. And he threw a bad one. But he also threw some balls some receivers should have caught. And I don't know who their number 1 receiver is. Like, they have a receiving core that it's a bunch of twos to me. Claypool hasn't proven he's a breakout receiver. Deontay Johnson had trouble drops last year. Schuster's obviously a 2, maybe a 3. So we'll see. And then TJ Watt's hurt, and that seems to affect the whole defense. It's like Pittsburgh can lose one linebacker, and their defense falls apart. So who knows? I'm not going to write the season off yet. It's a long season. We got 15 more games. A lot could happen. The Bills looked really good, but they also played the Jets. I think they played the Jets. I think the Bills played the Jets, and they won like 35-0. After skunking Miami the week before. I don't know who Buffalo played. I'm not going to lie, bro. Like, some of these games got mixed up, but I know Josh Allen threw for 1 billion yards and a bunch of touchdowns. Buffalo's fine. I thought they'd be fine. They're in a division where Mac Jones is a rookie. Tua is hurt now. And the Jets are Zach Wilson. And now here's the thing. He's a rookie. Peyton Manning threw 28 interceptions. I'm not saying he's Peyton Manning. I'm saying the Jets are a dumpster fire and they have a rookie quarterback. So the Jets I predicted them to win 1 game this year. I don't know if they can do that. So enough with the AFC East. I think that the Bills win that running away. The Patriots just don't have enough talent. The AFC South is the weirdest division because the Colts are 0-3, but I think they're better than their record suggests. Carson Wentz is playing okay, but he gets hurt all the time. Tennessee's defense is still leaky. Derrick Henry's playing well. Julio Jones is playing okay. And so all Titan Nation out there that follows me, don't unfollow me. I'm just being real about the situation. But the good news is Jacksonville is awful. That's why they have the number 1 pick. And Houston's on their 15th quarterback. Tyrod Taylor got hurt. And then now they had Davis Mills, and I didn't watch them because why would I? Said he looked atrocious. Deshaun Watson with his legal issues. And the Texans have a win. At least they have that. And so, yeah, the Colts are in last place, but I think the Colts are just too well coached. I mean, their schedule gets a lot easier from here with winnable games. They just lost to the Titans. That hurts in the division standings, but the Titans were a team that I felt peaked 2 years ago, and then Derrick Henry had a 2,000-plus yard season last year, but they couldn't really do much in the playoffs. So, and A.J. Brown's hurt now, so that division to me is still a toss-up. I'm not going to make any declarations on that. I picked the Colts to win the division, and I had them starting off like 0-3, like 1-4, but then I had them reeling off some wins when the schedule gets a little easier. The AFC West is loaded. So let's start off with the 2 teams who have really passionate fan bases. And I don't want to tell them to calm down, because I don't want to die. But the Raiders, Derek Carr looks incredible. Been on the Derek Carr thing for a long time. I think he's a really, really good quarterback. Even in my rankings, I had him near the top 10. And I think he can be from 8 to 13. Henry Ruggs is having a better year. If Josh Jacobs stays healthy, they can run the ball. But they started hot last year. Let's see if they fade. And Teddy Bridgewater for the Broncos, I mean, he's taking advantage of his weapons, and he's not turning the ball over, but he's got a way better arm than I thought he did. I'm pretty sure I said that last podcast, which was like a week or two ago. I don't remember. It's been a long time. And so those teams are both 3-0. The Chargers are 2-1, and Justin Herbert looks like an MVP already. I'm not saying he's going to win the MVP, but that dude is incredible. But, bro, they shoot themselves in the foot so many times, no matter who the coach is, no matter who the quarterback is, no matter who the GM is. The Chargers will always Charger. And that's what worries me about them is I listened to Brandon Staley, their coach, on The Herd, and I really like him. He sounds like a really, really smart guy. But I know you can't control everything as a coach, but that dude, Justin Herbert, has a rocket, a laser. He can do it all. He can throw off his back foot. He can do the jump. He's not Mahomes, but he's a 15-year guy in this league if he doesn't get hurt. Mike Williams looks incredible. Keenan Allen's Keenan Allen. Austin Eckler still doing Austin Eckler things. If their defense can step up, it's another sports cliche, right? But I think they have a chance to do some good things this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a deep playoff run. I also wouldn't be surprised if they Charger it up and win 7 games. I just never know what to do with the Chargers. No matter when they had Breeze or Flutie or Phillip Rivers and LaDainian Tomlinson, Antonio Gates, and all these dudes, they always seemed a way to Charger it up and not make big things happen. Sorry, I've been up since like 4 o'clock this morning traveling for my job, so I'm a little sleepy. And this is all off the dome. I have notes, but the notes are here because they're on that phone, and I can't access the phone because that's how I'm shooting the video. All right, the Kansas City Chiefs. Edwards-Helaire looks like a really, really, really good running back if he doesn't fumble the ball. Kelsey's still Kelsey. Tyreek is still Tyreek. They're running a bunch of misdirections and jet sweeps, but at some point, I think Andy Reid is going to have to look at Patrick Mahomes and say, look, I know that you can throw the ball 50 yards off your back foot. But he's starting to commit turnovers on those plays. This is not like I'm dogging Patrick Mahomes. He's still one of the top quarterbacks in the league. And if he's not, I'll tell you why, because there's another guy that I'm going to get to. Hint, it's not Tom Brady. But that defense just gives up gashing holes to running backs and just holes in the secondary. And then they got Josh Gordon. I don't know. That provides you depth, and he's cheap. And if he fails a drug test and he didn't cost you much anyways, it's just going to be interesting to see. I'm not writing off the Chiefs. This division is far from over. Like I said, the Raiders are 3-0. The Broncos are 3-0. The Chargers are 2-1, and the Chiefs are 1-2. They could all flip-flop within 6 weeks. Because they got to all play each other, right? Now, the Chiefs are 0-1 in the division. That's tough. Because they lost to Baltimore, they beat Cleveland. And now they're 1-2 also in the AFC. So they may not get that home field advantage, but Mahomes has proven he can play on the road. So I'm not going to freak out yet, but they got to do something with that defense. And Patrick Mahomes, I don't like telling a player, and I'm not telling him anything because who am I? I'm just a podcast dude, right? But I hate when people try to take away something that makes somebody elite. And I'm not saying don't do it at all, but you've got to time a situation. Because the Chiefs really could have won the last 2 games they played. Easily. They could easily be 3-0, and then we would be glossing over their issues. The AFC West is dope. It's the only good division. It's the only great division in this conference. The North, I think, is good, but Pittsburgh doesn't look good, and it's too early for me to trust the Browns, and the Ravens have their own issues. Injuries might catch up with them, but Lamar keeps doing Lamar things. That's an interesting division to watch. The NFC, the Dallas Cowboys. Listen, they're not a dumpster fire. They lost to Tampa Bay. They very well could have lost to the Chargers, but they won, so that's a W. And they smoked the Eagles. Stop treating, and Tyler, you're my boy. Grady, you're my boy. Don't take this to heart. But y'all know that the Eagles are not as good as that week 1 performance. I don't think they're as bad as these last 2 weeks. And Jalen Hurts is a grown-up and he's mature. And I think he's super coachable. And I like the dude. I'm still not completely sold on him. But he's not even played 16 full games yet. So I'm not making any declarations on Jalen Hurts yet. You got to play him. They've got talent. But they're not built to be a championship level team. So Cowboys fans, be happy. You're 2-1. Very well could be 1-2. I picked y'all to win this game, and I picked Dallas to win 10 games and win the division. Zeke had one good game. Let's see if he can do it. Now CeeDee Lamb and Gallup and all. I don't even know if Gallup played. I didn't watch the game. I was hanging out with my kid, but I looked at the box score, checked off some stuff. So if you saw something I didn't see, and none of this has to do with Dak. Dak's the grown-up in the room. Dak will be fine as long as he's healthy. I mean, the guy, I loved him coming out of Mississippi State. He's not having to win throwing the ball 70 times a game. So if they can run it with Pollard and Zeke and then make that work, I think Dak's a top 10 quarterback. Maybe top 5. I'm not making rankings right now because that's not what I'm doing. Chill. Just kidding. Y'all are chill. Y'all my fans. I love you guys, especially all my Twitter followers. Y'all are dope. The Giants are a dumpster fire. I thought they'd be good. They're 0-3. I don't know anything about Joe Judge, but they will run you out of town, bro. They ran Principal McAdoo out of here, the babysitter, who thought it was a good idea to bench Eli Manning for Geno Smith. No shot at Geno Smith, but, I mean, the guy had a consecutive game streak, and you knew you weren't going with Geno. That was disrespectful. That's why you got fired. And then y'all put him in the next week, and it's like, all right, dude, what are y'all doing? I don't even know who the Giants played yesterday. I don't really care. Did they play the Browns? No, the Bears played the Browns. We're going to get to the Bears. The Washington football team, man, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to cover all these games. Washington, you're not going to win. You might win the division by default, but you're not going to win with Tyler Heineke this year as your starting quarterback. Your defense is still really good. You still have Antonio Gibson. You have great skill players. I think y'all should have went and got a quarterback, but I like the Heineke dude. So stick with him. Philadelphia, rebuild. But there's so many good rivalries in this division that even when these teams suck, I'm not saying that Dallas sucks or Washington sucks, but even when all these teams are mediocre to kind of good, it's still an interesting division because there's so much history between these fan bases. Trust me, I know we got an Eagles fan and a Cowboys fan in our fantasy football league, and there's Dallas Cowboys fans everywhere. And my buddy Grady lives in Arkansas, and he's from Philly, so it's wonderful to watch. I thought y'all were worried about the Packers. Now, I know that they smoked the Lions after getting destroyed by the Saints, and I know that they almost blew that game to the 49ers, but Aaron Rodgers looks incredible, and he looks locked in, and he looks like what I said. He's still good with his teammates. His problem was never with the team, as in the people playing and coaching. It was the organization, right? So the team is the people that play and coach and give you water on the sidelines and the trainers, right? No, the organization is the ownership, which is like run by the people, which I'm sure he's not upset at them. And then the GM who's like, hey, let's just never draft wide receivers or skill players and let's go draft a backup quarterback. And then our quarterback goes and wins the MVP. Like, I would have traded. I mean, the dude is still in his prime. Like, Aaron Rodgers is still incredible. That's all I have to say about the Packers. They look like a Super Bowl contender. And I'm going to get to my bigger point after we touch on a couple other teams. Minnesota, I have no idea. They have so many skill players, but their quarterback just has a ceiling. And that ceiling's not super low, and it's not super high. I feel like they lose games they should win. They win games they should. This is a frustrating franchise to follow because on paper you're like, this team should win 10 or 11 games, and they might. But then they always do something. Like, there's a reason this franchise never. It's like the Chargers. There's a reason these franchises never don't have any Super Bowl appearances. Or the Vikings have appearances, right? Not for like decades. Like, dude, they had Dante Culpepper, Randy Moss, and Chris Carter, and like really good defensive players, and y'all lost to the Falcons in '99. Like, 2001, y'all lost to whoever y'all lost to. I think it was the Giants or somebody like that. Like, the Minnesota just frustrates me. But they have Justin Jefferson, they have Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, who played hurt. And I want this Minnesota team to be so good. I just found it's my stepson's favorite team. So I have no reason to dislike the Vikings. Hold on, I got to move something off there. I'll get back to you later, Ian, about that thing. I tried to send my buddy a video. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. All right, so the Lions, Jared Goff's doing everything he can. I predicted them to win one game. And when your best weapon is TJ Hawkinson, I don't even know who their number one receiver is, guys. I really don't. Somebody help me out. I don't know who their running back. Oh, DeAndre Swift. Okay. I think he's good. I don't know if he's great. The Bears, Matt Nagy, you going to get fired, dog? Are you trying to get fired? Oh, all three quarterbacks are open. I mean, okay, I get it if Justin Fields can't play. But if y'all got two backups and a rookie, dude. Like, Andy Dalton is a backup. Nick Foles is a backup. Sorry, Tyler. Sorry, Eagles fans. I know he won y'all that Super Bowl. But the dude ain't never played a full season minus a couple of years. That one year he went 27 touchdowns, 2 picks when Michael Vick was on the team. And then he won that Super Bowl. But no one's ever given him a full-time starting job because after a couple of games they're like, oh, he's kind of mediocre. Like, this dude is like 80 touchdowns, 41 picks in his career, and he's like 29 and 30. Like, he's not. I thought his stats were going to be horrible, but they're not. But, bro, like, if Justin Fields is healthy and you don't play him, and somebody pointed this out, like the protections. I think it was Dan Orlovsky on ESPN. And I know I'm piggybacking off him, but I agree. Like, I made a list of coaches on the hot seat, and Nagy was firmly at the top. If you think Andy Dalton gives you the best chance to win, and the thing is, even if he doesn't have a good option there, the way he's juggling this thing, it's like, dude, either play the kid or don't play him. You could literally have come out and said, listen, the kid is not going to play this year. He's going to sit the whole season, and we're going to develop him. All right, cool. Andy Dalton's our starter, and we're going to go out here. We're going to win like 4 games. And then we're going to trade all our picks for an offensive line to protect Justin Fields. But I don't know what they're doing. And I was always a fan of Nagy. But and I don't even know if Justin Fields is going to be elite. But you got to do something, bro. And it ain't Nick Foles. Nick Foles is out here trying to get another job when Carson Wentz got hurt. Like, he said it without saying it. Like, bro, like, give me a call. I will come play quarterback and take Carson Wentz's job again in Indianapolis like I did in Philly. And y'all talking about putting that dude out there on the field. And nothing against Nick Foles. But, bro, like, the dude was out here trying to get another job on another team. And you talking about, we have all 3 options. Like, dude, what are you doing? Either all in on Justin Fields or sit him if y'all aren't good enough for him to play. Or wait till y'all are trash and see what you got. That's it. I ain't spending any more time on that organization. Y'all's best quarterback was Jay Cutler and Jim McMahon. And Jay Cutler acted like he ain't even care. Rex Grossman took y'all to a Super Bowl, but he ain't take y'all nowhere because y'all had a great defense and Lovie Smith somehow won 13 games that year. And then y'all had Mitchell Trubisky, who it's not Mitch's fault that y'all drafted him that high. Because I think he's a starter in this league. But I don't think he's I don't know. He's like between a really dope backup and like a non-franchise quarterback. Like, he's really good and athletic. But you're going to have to put everything around him to make it work. And y'all was asking that dude to save your franchise. I ain't mad at Mitchell Trubisky for that. I said it. Yeah, that's enough with the NFC North. The NFC South. Tampa Bay lost to the team that I picked to win the Super Bowl. Brady still threw for 430-something yards and some touchdowns. And listen, sometimes you get beat. I picked them to lose this game when I picked all the games. And I still think Tampa Bay is going to make a deep playoff run. I think they were without Antonio Brown. And I think it's a big deal. Antonio Brown had a great first week, not a great second week. They're loaded on defense. I know they have some injuries on the defense, and they're trying out Richard Sherman. I hope that works out for everybody involved. And if Richard Sherman's head is right, because I love Richard Sherman. People are like, oh, why do you like that loudmouth? Listen, he speaks what he mind, but if you listen to the dude actually talk, he's super intelligent, bro. Like, I think Richard Sherman's a deep guy. I don't agree with him on everything, but I love the way that he interacts with reporters because he makes the reporters think. Like, he's just an interesting guy to me. Whatever happened in that situation, it seems like he was out of his mind, and like that, it didn't seem like that was him. Everyone's like, oh, that time he yelled when he was getting interviewed by Erin Andrews. He wasn't yelling at her. He was yelling about Crabtree, who the beef was that he intercepted the ball, and then I think he tried to shake Crabtree's hand or something. There was something there. And that's why he said, don't ever try to test me with a trash receiver like Crabtree. Football players talk trash. Get over it. The Saints, I have no idea. Jameis Winston's going to throw for 138 yards and multiple TDs every game, and they might make the NFC Championship game. Or they might just miss the playoffs. Because they have Callaway and Traquan Smith, or whatever that guy's name is, an IR. They still have Kamara. The defense is doing its job. And then Carolina, McCaffrey's hurt. And Carolina's 3-0. I didn't see that coming. But I did say I thought Matt Rule was a really good coach. And I predicted Carolina to be really competitive this year. And I've said I like their receiving core with David Moore and DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson and Terrace Marshall. Like, I love their receiving core. And I love the coach who's an offensive guru. Well, maybe not a guru, but he's a really good offensive coach. We'll see what they do. I don't know enough about their defense to even get out here lying to y'all. I still think that division is Tampa Bay and New Orleans, and I still think Tampa Bay wins it. Just, they got too much, man. They brought everybody back from a Super Bowl team that crushed the Chiefs. Who the other team in that division? Y'all really done made me forget. The Atlanta Falcons. Dude, I don't even know who they played. I didn't care. Matt Ryan's old. The ball looks like it's coming out of his hand slow. I think he's a borderline Hall of Famer, though. And I don't know. Maybe it wasn't all Dan Quinn's fault. Now, they had to fire him, and the defense was atrocious. And now he's coaching a good defense in Dallas. But maybe he's just not the head guy, though he looks the part. You know bald head dudes with goatees that are like 5'9" and look like they like played linebacker at like a D2 school, but they're really intense? That's what I always thought of when I looked at it. And that's not a diss. Like, the high school coach of the town that I lived in for 10 years in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, he was that way, and he won back-to-back state championships. But he was just like a football dude, right? Like, that's a football coach. Looks the part. The NFC West. Why can't all four teams in this division make the playoffs? Because the Rams... I'm going to toot my own horn after I take a sip of this water. I tried to tell y'all about Sean McVay and Matt Stafford. And not just me. I've been watching Matt Stafford since he was at Georgia. When Georgia wasn't great. I was watching Matt Stafford with the Lions. And if I'm wrong about this, correct me, but I'm pretty sure the dude threw a touchdown pass, dislocated his shoulder. They tried to take him out of the game. He said, F you, and threw a 2-point conversion with his left hand. And if the camera's inverted, this is my left hand, I promise. The dude's been in Detroit, bro. Look what they did to Barry Sanders. Look what they did to Calvin Johnson. Look at what that franchise has always been for like in the Super Bowl era. And look what, like, he had Calvin Johnson and who else? He had Kenny Galladay. No disrespect to Kenny Galladay. But like, y'all are like, Matthew Stafford's never won a playoff game. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. Look what he's doing now. Is he better than Jared Goff? Because Jared Goff went to a Super Bowl. I'm trying to tell y'all the Rams are for real if they stay healthy. Now, they traded a lot of draft picks. This won't be a dynasty, maybe. But if Matt Stafford's, 32, 33? Like, I think he's 33. We'll say he's 33 in case he's not 32. And y'all like, he's actually older than a year. Like, cool. Fact check me. I don't care. So, my point is that Matt Stafford with Deshaun Jackson and Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods and Vance Jackson, I think that's the dude's name. Or maybe that's the coach of the, maybe that was the coach. No, Van Jefferson, that's his name. He's on one of my fantasy teams. Van Jefferson. And then they have, I don't know who their running back is. Like, it was Akers, he got injured. Oh, Darrell Henderson. No, that's the guy from Jacksonville. I don't know who they're, yeah, Darrell Henderson. Yeah, Darrell Henderson's a running back. And then I think they picked somebody up. I don't remember, but all I know is that they still have Aaron Donald. And I think they still have Jalen Ramsey. Not sure about that. Fact check me on that, because I don't pay a whole lot of attention to all the people on the defense. But I'm telling you, they're 3-0. They just beat the defending Super Bowl champions. They're going to make a deep playoff run. The 49ers. If Jimmy G's healthy yeah, he had some bad turnovers. But what did he do after that? They didn't lose that game because of him. And people were debating whether Shanahan should have told them to take more time. Look, dude, what if you take too much time and you don't get in the end zone, you lose? Listen, 36 seconds, I can live with that. That defense needs to be ashamed of themselves and run sprints for letting Aaron Rodgers do that in 37 seconds. Now, he's known to do that, but you play to win the game, and they played to win the game. They scored a touchdown. Like, what else was they're supposed to do? Like, yes, Nick Wright, they could have taken more time off the play clock. Okay, and you're like, yeah, they did 2 seconds. It's like, you don't know if that's the same play call that they would have ran. So when people go back and they're like, okay, well, if they would have done this and this would have happened, well, every play call in football is designed based on previous events. So it's all based on the score, time in the game, how many timeouts you have, and how much and where you are in the field, right? Because how do we know if they take more time off the clock, the kicker don't get an itch in his leg and kicks the ball shorter and the Packers get the ball in the 30? Like, there's just stop with this revisionist history. And I love Nick Wright. I'm just disagreeing with him on this. Ayuk had a better game. Jimmy G looks like the quarterback of that team. Now, here's the weird thing. What if they win the Super Bowl with Jimmy G? What do you do? Because now you can still get rid of Jimmy G. I don't know why you would. That means the guy would have been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years and have a Super Bowl win and a loss. You drafted Trey Lance for a reason, because the kid has the ceiling of Lil Wayne, no ceilings. You know, like, the kid is incredibly talented, but he's an unknown at this point, NFL-wise. And Jimmy G looked happy when he scored a touchdown, and if they can win playing this way, good. But then you have to see, like, I don't know what you do. Now, Jimmy G might Jimmy G it up and get hurt or not play so well, but Jimmy G, and he handled that press conference so well. It's like, well, we did all we could. Kudos to them. They're 2-1. They could easily be 3-0. The 49ers. Seattle. Lockett, DK Metcalf, Russell Wilson. They balled. I think they're 2-1 also. The Arizona Cardinals are balling. DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, Kyler Murray, Chase Edmonds, James Conner. Someone's got to finish in last place. So here's what I'm going to tell that division. Nobody fire their coach at the end of the year unless they go like 3-13. I know that Cliff Kingsbury's on the warm seat, but bro, it's context. Everything about my podcast is about context. This division, I think you get a mulligan. And then you just call the NFL and you're like, hey, right? So this is the NFC West, right? We have a problem. So we have 4 of probably the 6 best teams in the NFC in our division. So you got Tampa Bay, you've got Green Bay, and then you got our 4. Because if I was to rank the teams in order of who's best to worst in the NFC, and I won't do all the best teams, but it would probably go the Rams, the Bucks, the 49ers, Oh, I'll go Rams, Bucks, Packers, 49ers, Seahawks, Cardinals, and then Cowboys, then Saints. One of those teams ain't making the playoffs. And I think I mentioned all the divisions, right? Because all those teams are better than Washington. They're better than New York. They're better than Detroit. They're better than Chicago. They're better than Carolina. They're better than Atlanta. Those teams are separate from the others. And I would have the Cowboys at 7th or 8th. And that's not a shot, Cowboys fans, but look at these other rosters. Now, obviously, they're not going to move any of those teams. Like, they're all on the West Coast, right? Arizona, close enough. The Rams, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. Like, they're literally, they're not going to move them. So it sucks that it's going to be a revolving door for the next couple years of who doesn't make the playoffs. And this is what I was going to say earlier. The NFC has... The NFC, I think, has 6 teams that can legitimately win the Super Bowl. And I'm almost willing to go 7. And those teams are all 4 teams in the NFC West. If the cards stack right, I think the Seahawks and the Cardinals can win the Super Bowl. I know the Rams can. I know the Rams, the Bucks, and the Packers. And I have no doubt in my mind they can win the Super Bowl. How many teams can you say about that in the AFC? Even if Dallas goes on a run. You have Buffalo and Kansas City. Now, I know what you're saying. the LA Chargers. We talked about them charging it up, right? What do? Buffalo has never won a Super Bowl. And they have trouble with Kansas City. Cleveland, I have a whole podcast on here about that whole franchise, and they look really good. But do you trust Baker Mayfield? Look me in my eyes and tell me, if you're a diehard Browns fan. I get it. This is the best you've been since Jim Brown and Bernie Kosar. You guys have a legit team. Cleveland, to me, is the best team in the AFC North. Them and Baltimore. You think Baltimore can win the Super Bowl with all these injuries? I don't think the Bengals can win. I think the Bills could win it. I think the Chiefs could win it. Yeah, they look bad, but they've got the pedigree. They've been to the last 2 and been to the last 3 AFC Championship games. Patriots can't. Jets can't. You really think the Colts and the Titans can win the Super Bowl? Be honest. You know the Texans and the Jags can't. The Steelers can't. In my heart, they can't. That offensive line is not good enough. They're not consistent enough on offense, and you get one defensive player out, Ryan Shazier, Devin Bush, TJ Watt. Over the last couple years, one linebacker goes out, their defense suffers. Now, last year, the defense was really good without Devin Bush, but now they have no Bud Dupree. The defense is older. The AFC West, do you really think Teddy Bridgewater is going to win the Super Bowl? Now, I would love to be shocked on that one because they're balling. Y'all been telling me Derek Carr ain't that good. And we talked about the Chargers charging it up. The NFC has 6 legit contenders. 7 if you count the Cowboys. Because do you trust Jameis Winston? He's balling. I'm so proud of Jameis. He's not been in trouble. He's not turning the ball over. He's not having to throw for 400 yards. He's playing within the system. You think that team can win the Super Bowl? I'll leave that up to you guys. Baseball. I'm so upset about the San Diego Padres. Bro, they spent all this money in the first half of the season. You had Machado and Tatis Jr. You had all the other dudes that went and got. I think Yu Darvish was on that team. Will Myers was there. This team was exciting. And then they fell apart in the second half. And now you got the St. Louis Cardinals looking like they're going to make the playoffs, and the Milwaukee Brewers. And I'm not hating. And the Cardinals did go get Goldschmidt, and they have another dude. Wainwright's balling. I had a conversation with a guy at a pizza place about this. About Wainwright has this up and down career where he's good, then he's hurt, then he's good, but he's like always feel like he's been in the majors for 27 years, and he's having a phenomenal season. Like, if it wasn't for what Max Scherzer is doing with the Dodgers, going 7-0, since he got traded there, I think Wainwright could be the Cy Young. The AL East is... Sorry, Fred Worth. I know, and you probably knew better, but Francisco Lindor had the worst offensive year. Like, and he's a former Cleveland player, and I'm not going to say the nickname because they're changing it to the Guardians. I'm not a fan of it, but whatever. I'm still going to support the team. But he was horrendous in New York this year, and he's such a likable guy, and I'm not mad at him for going to get his money. I'm mad at Cleveland for not paying him his money, because that should have been the face of the franchise. No disrespect, Shane Bieber. No disrespect to Jose Ramirez, who's having a great year. But that was the face of your franchise. Find a way to pay him. Take out a loan. I don't care. Or sell the team to someone with more money. The Braves aren't the same without Acuna Jr. They haven't proven they could win in the postseason. Big. The Phillies came out of nowhere. Bryce Harper's quietly having an MVP type season. The Brewers never do anything in the playoffs. And then you have the Dodgers and the Giants. And one of those teams is going to have 100 wins and play the play-in game and probably lose to the freaking Cardinals. Someone tell me who the other big bat on the Cardinals is, because they have another one besides Goldschmidt, and I don't remember what the dude's name is. I know they have Matt Carpenter. I can't remember the guy's name, but they have another big... Oh, Nolan Arenado. Nolan Arenado. There we go. I knew it'd come to me. So they have Nolan Arenado, Matt Carpenter, Paul Goldschmidt, and then they've won like 16 in a row. I don't know if they lost their last game or not. In the American League, you have the AL East, which is ridiculous, besides Baltimore always being ridiculously bad. Some guy argued with me about the Orioles, and it's like, oh, the guy didn't get to analytics and Buck Showalter and all that. It's like, a lot of teams didn't do that, and they're not that bad. Now, I hope the Orioles are a historic franchise. Frank Robinson and Brooks Robinson and Jim Palmer and Earl Weaver. Like, that's a franchise you love. Rafael Palmeiro, yeah, I know he did steroids. Eddie Murray, Roberto Alomar, yeah, I know he spit on an ump. And I know there's some other stuff going on with him. But we're talking baseball. Boo Powell. So now you got Tampa Bay running away with that division with a bunch of guys. And Orestes Estrada, if that's your name, and if I mispronounce it, I'm dearly sorry, sir. But you've been on my boy Jack Vita's show. For y'all, I would love Tampa Bay to win the World Series this year. Like, straight up. I think that would be dope. Because small market, y'all used to not be able to get no one to come to the games, and y'all built something great there. The Red Sox should not be this good. Everyone was counting out the Yankees. They're about to make the playoffs. Now, whether they can win it, they still have Garrett Cole. They still have Aaron Judge. They still have Giancarlo Stanton. And Brett Gardner's like a 90 years old still playing. And I'm not going to say I can root for the Yankees because I can't root for the Yankees. But I root for those. I root for Stanton because he's fun to watch. And I root for Judge because he's good for baseball. If I was to pray about any team making the playoffs, it's the Toronto Blue Jays. And Texas Rangers fans, be mad. I don't care. I'm going to say something controversial here, but I'm not going to go to Stephen A. Smith route. I think it's great that Ohtani is from Japan. I think it's great that he pitches and he hits. And I think that is deserving of an MVP. And honestly, I've been a big fan of all the Japanese and Chinese players bringing a different culture to Major League Baseball that I think was needed. Like Daisuke, Ichiro, Hideo Nomo, all those guys. And I think it's great for the sport. And that's going to bring up me another point about Ohtani. And what he is doing, no one has done since Babe Ruth. So if he, I'm not saying they're going to give him the MVP because I'm saying I think he earned the MVP. Here's my thing. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is my favorite baseball player, the son of one of my favorite players growing up, his dad, Vlad Guerrero. I just want him to win the MVP because he's fun and and it's just a personal thing. It's no anti-Asian, none of that. That's nonsense. And I don't think that's what Stephen A. was trying to say, but I think Stephen A. a lot of times doesn't articulate himself in the moment well, and I think he mishandled that. Because I don't think that came from a place. Like he said that Ohtani doesn't speak English. That's a fact. And for some fans, that may be a problem. But listen, people speak through interpreters all the time, so we as English-speaking Americans just need to get over that. Okay? That's what I'm going to say. Ohtani has been great for baseball, but he's got 9 wins and 45 home runs, but he's batting .250. And I know batting average shouldn't mean anything, but Vlad Guerrero is having one of those seasons that if Ohtani wasn't playing this year, he'd be the hands-down MVP. And this is the reason why I think that matters. Because I think Ohtani's going to win the MVP, and I'm 100% okay with that. But when guys go up for the Hall of Fame, and this is more so in basketball and football, we start looking at things like MVPs and All-Pros and All-NBAs and All-Star selections and Gold Gloves and all that. And nobody goes and puts things in context. So let's say Ohtani wins the MVP, well-deserved. Because in baseball, they don't care about, it's not the most valuable player. It's the best player. Andre Dawson once won that award, and great Hall of Famer, when his team was in last place. It's not about value, which now, this year it might be because his value is I can hit and pitch. So this year, he will win it because he would be the most valuable player in all of baseball because a dude goes and gets you 9 wins and gets you 46 home runs and almost 100 RBIs. But it didn't translate, and it's not Ohtani's fault that his team, it's not even his team, his organization is garbage, dude. Like, they can't figure out the pitching thing, and I love Joe Madden. But what I'm talking about is this. It's like, bro, so we look at MVPs. I'll give you a great example of this. Kobe Bryant and a football example, Drew Brees. Drew Brees has 0 MVPs. One year he set the passing yards record in the NFL. Like, go look at his seasons, and then when you look, you'll be like, oh, that's right. That was the year that Aaron Rodgers threw for like almost 50 touchdowns and like 2 interceptions. Oh, that's right. That was the year, Adrian Peterson, you didn't win the MVP because Peyton Manning went nuts. Because sometimes we have years where this was happening to Barry Bonds. He was hitting like 45 homers and 100 and some RBIs, but Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire were hitting 60. So we forget about these seasons. So it's not even about Ohtani. It's about Vlad Guerrero's having one of those seasons. A lot of RBIs, a .315 batting average. He walks, so he's getting on base percentage. Like, and I know he's a DH. I don't give a damn about the DH. The dude's having a historically offensive season. If y'all are really like, he had 17 putouts in 35 games, like, okay. If you can qualitate that, that's not even a word, but if you can provide me quantitative analysis, so that means numbers. So if you can quantify that and explain to me how that was a difference of wins and losses, and I'll shut up because I'm not Bill James. So my solution is give him the co-MVP, dog. Y'all already split it up into American League and National League. No other league does that. So there's 30 teams. You get 2 MVPs. The NFL has 32 teams. They have 1 MVP. And they'll be like, they're different leagues. And I'm like, I know what that means, but they play for the World Series. Oh, and they play each other. So I get it because they don't play all the teams. So you can keep the league separate, but it's still Major League Baseball. Okay, I get it. So, like, that makes them separate leagues. But you get to double up on your MVPs. So Barry Bonds has 7. Would he have 7 if it was between all 30 teams? That's all I'm saying. Here's my bigger Ohtani point. He wants to win. And he doesn't want to go to the East Coast. And I wouldn't stay in Anaheim or Los Angeles or wherever. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, like, they're so confusing with that. There were the California Angels and the Anaheim Angels and the LA Angels, then the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Next thing, they're going to be like the Walt Disney Los Angeles Anaheim Angels of California. Like, just stick to a name. So what happens when Ohtani leaves? Because that franchise is already dumpster fire. No one's going to want to go there now unless, like, it's sunny outside, like, all the time in Cali. I know I've been. I was stuck on a mountain, and, well, it was hot and cold, but I was in Fort Irwin, California. So what happens when Ohtani leaves? There's no salary cap, so what happens when he goes to the Dodgers? Or the San Francisco Giants? Because that's where I think he's going. I think he's going to go to the San Francisco Giants. Why? They're analytically driven. They're majorly successful. I know it took him a long time to win World Series, and these dang motorcycles outside this hotel room. I'm here for work, so I'm in a hotel. I think it's interesting where Ohtani goes. And listen, I'm going to apologize in advance if anything I said about Ohtani's nationality or anything offended anybody. None of that matters. He is a phenomenal baseball player. But if we don't address things, we don't understand. And I think his ethnicity is great for baseball. I think that, and this is why. Do you want Major League Baseball to be what it was from 1880 something until 1947? I sure don't. I want more African Americans in baseball. I want more Koreans in the major leagues. I want more Australians. I want more Portuguese people. I want Canadians, French. Like, if they can play baseball, bring them on in. Let's play ball. Because baseball has a marketing problem. And it's not Ohtani not speaking English. I mean, that's not the problem at all. Like, it's not Ohtani's. And they say Ohtani speaks to teammates. Look, the dude is from Japan. If he doesn't want to speak English because he's not comfortable speaking it, then listen to the interpreter. And the interpreter is going to translate what Ohtani says. I've used interpreters in Iraq. They're now American citizens, and I love them to death. They saved my life, and I would save their life, and they're great human beings, and they're to be respected. So nothing about this, and this is why I didn't even want to talk about this, but I think the people that follow me and watch this understand what I'm saying. Because this is why Stephen A. was wrong. Nobody was mad when the Dominican and Puerto Rican players used interpreters. I'm sure a couple of them won MVPs. I mean, not Sammy Sosa. He just pretended not to speak English in front of Congress, which is ridiculous. Because you're disrespecting people who are really trying to learn English. And for you Americans out there, and I'm really speaking to white Americans, if you've never learned a second language, shut up. And I haven't, so I'm not ever going to tell someone that they should speak our language. It's a multicultural country. Now, would it be nice if we all tried to learn the language of a place we went? I think so. If I moved to another country, for my personal benefit, I would try to learn a different language. And I think we should all learn different languages. Now, that's really hard. I tried to learn Arabic. Not like I studied it, but I picked up some stuff. It's a difficult language because I don't understand it. Doesn't mean it's difficult and it's bad. But how about we all just do what makes life easier for everyone around us too, and not be so focused on ourselves? Because guess what? Ohtani could win 5 MVPs. And 50 years from now, no one's going to be like, oh, well, that dude didn't speak English. They're going to be like, that dude was one of the greatest players ever. And that's how it should be. And that's how I wish a life was. Like, we're going to, like, I hate the fact that we're like, Larry Bird was really good for a white dude. Or Jackie Robinson was really good because he was the first black person. Yes, Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, right? Jackie Robinson was phenomenal despite if he was white, orange, or purple. Like, the guy that I think is the best baseball player ever is Willie Mays. Does anyone say Willie Mays was sure good for a black guy? And this is what I hate about the quarterback thing. Oh, man, he's good for a black quarterback. Bro, Warren Moon was out here throwing bombs from the pocket. We got to stop with this qualifying, like, he's good for this rate. And I get it. Us white dudes, we don't jump as high. And we mainly shoot threes. Cool. Larry Bird was a beast. Dirk Nowitzki's a beast. How about we just say they're really good basketball players, they're really good hockey players, baseball players, football players. That's my little tangent on that. The Chicago White Sox are interesting. Jose Abreu's having a great year. And Salvador Perez is crushing it for the Royals, even though they're not very good. The Twins fell off a cliff. My Cleveland team is mediocre. We lost our manager. We lost our best starter. We traded Lindor. I mean, I don't honestly know how we're going to finish with almost 81 wins, but we are. So kudos to them keeping it together. I hope Tito's all right, Terry Francona. And who's winning the AL West? Because I went on this whole Ohtani tangent and just skipped over the rest of the American League. The Astros. That's what I was going to talk about, the Astros. Because remember, everyone's mad about the Astros cheating and all that. And then they were all like booing them and like throwing stuff at them. And yeah, like, okay, like they got caught, right? I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. But if they're not cheating now, shut the hell up. Because they're winning 90-something games. They're quietly one of the best teams in baseball. And they might win the World Series again. What are you going to do now? Because they didn't ban them all from baseball. That's over with. They're not going to do that. They're not going to take away the World Series. And you can hate the Astros all you want. But if this team wins and you can't prove they cheated, maybe the cheating helped them, but maybe they were also really good at the same time. And I am no Astros fan. I was an Astros fan with like Big Yo and Bagwell and Berkman and Beltran. And I was going to say Nolan Ryan. I wasn't old enough for that. I'm old, but I ain't that old. Roy Oswalt and Roger Clemens. There was another Astro there. Did Randy Johnson play for them for like half a year? I'm thinking of the 2005 team, right? That I really liked. Kenny Lofton started out there, and he was my favorite Indian for a long time. Anyways, I digress. I think the baseball postseason is going to be phenomenal. And two of the best players in the league are on the same team, and they're not going to be in it. And that's Mike Trout and Ohtani. So I think that it's just been a great year for baseball. And I don't usually talk baseball, but I haven't addressed the Ohtani thing. And so when people are like, oh, you don't want Ohtani to win, it's like, it's not that I don't want him to win. I'm just a big Vlad Jr. fan. That's it. Honestly, if I want anyone to win, it's Jose Ramirez because he's on my team, but he didn't play well enough this year to win it. And honestly, Salvador Perez, like, it's just one of those things we're going to look back and we're going to be like, Ohtani had a special year that hasn't been done in over close to 100 years, maybe even over 100 years, because Babe Ruth started batting full-time in 1920 when he got sold when the Red Sox sold him for like 2 hot dogs and like $100. And then they were like cursed for like 80-something years. Yeah, it's something like that, like 84 years to be exact. 84, 85 years. And now the Red Sox are winning. And I don't know how to feel about it because all the dudes that I liked, I mean, they got rid of Benintendi. He went to the Royals. He's an Arkansas guy. And Curt Schilling's not going to make the Hall of Fame because he says dumb political things. I don't even know what the politics he said was, but like, dude plays baseball, bro. He's not a politician. Maybe he wants to be one. But unless he's saying things that are outrageous, and if he has, educate me. And by outrageous, I mean like things that we'd all be like, whoa, you're tripping. Like, we should put everybody in concentration camps. Like, okay, dude, you're tripping. I don't know. I don't get into athletes' politics, bro. Because just like you, they're not politicians. You might think you're a politician because you're on Twitter and YouTube and you got opinions. I got one. No one cares about them. And if you do, we might disagree. But let's love each other. Because that's what God will want us to do. And if you don't believe in God, then that's what Mother Nature, whatever you believe in, wants us to do. Let's just be decent to each other. I know I went on a different tangent here, but, we talked about, and I'm not talking about the NBA. Bro, I didn't even know training camp started next week. I'm exhausted from the offseason and the playoffs, in a good way, but I'm like, I'm going to wait. They're going to play 82, it looks like, this year. So it's going to be a long enough season. You know who on Fox Sports 1 always talks about the guy that was born in Akron. So we'll save that. But I got stuff to do. Got to check on my baby that's back home missing his daddy. So this has been another episode of Dads in Timeout. I am your host. Sorry, I got the hiccups. Jesse Williams, aka J Will. And until next time, check this out on YouTube. Check me out on Twitter at JWillSportsGuys, and I hope you JWillSportsGuy. And I hope you guys have a blessed day. God bless.